This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by IndyWrestling.us. Check out IWC, RWA, and more. And listeners like you, support this show at patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show.
Hungry as fuck, but I ain't starving yet. Chain for the pain, cocktail dog set. Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Peanut for the taste of the fly.
Hey guys, it's the Indy Mayhem Show. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the Twitter and the Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, PA. This is a show where we talk with people in and around independent professional wrestling. And of course, please go check out everything at Wrestling Mayhem Show and IndyWrestling.us. Wrestling Mayhem Show is where you can find all of the great pro wrestling podcasts that we're doing around here about indie wrestling and general wrestling as well. And we have a lot of fun with that. And we have a lot of great guests over across those shows. And of course, check out IndyWrestling.us where you can find today's guests and a lot of guests that we've talked to in the past in action over there on VOD or over at the Indie Wrestling Network. And also past episodes of a lot of great interviews with people, some you see on your TV today. After their first match sometimes. So a lot of fun there. And of course, today is going to be no different. We got somebody that I've been wanting to chat with for a while. McArthur has joined us on the line. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, old sports?
Fantastic. I have had so much fun producing behind the scenes of the Fight Underground live streams, and when Arthur McArthur comes on, I want to mess it up. I'm sorry. I know I'm in for a treat when it's going down.
Mm-hmm. Always try to bring a lasting impression every time I come on.
That's right. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into what you've been up to, but I like to put a little icebreaker out there for people that maybe get to know you a little bit. What's your earliest memory of pro wrestling?
Earliest memory of pro wrestling, man. Well, that's okay. I guess my early, because I was born in '94.
Okay.
I was an Attitude Era baby, so I grew up with Stone Cold Steve Austin in the late '90s, and he was kind of my first hero in the business. I have all the figures, I had the posters. He was kind of the guy, you had the kids growing up with Hulk Hogan. Well, I grew up with Stone Cold Steve Austin, who would have thought? They got their Hulk Hogan teaching about their vitamins and their prayers, and I got a guy pounding six packs like it's nothing.
We did get I'm a Hogan guy myself growing up, and we did get kind of a different life lesson, didn't we?
We really did. And obviously after that, after Stone Cold left, Ruthless Aggression era, I appreciate it a lot more. I guess I was, I really don't know who I was a big fan of at that point. It's been a while.
That's great. So is this something that early on that you, did you want to be the Stone Cold? Did you want to get into wrestling, or is that something that developed later throughout your watching?
Well, I guess it was always one of those boyhood dreams. You watch this on TV, you're like, man, I could be that someday.
Yeah.
And I never really thought that, maybe that was just their thing. Because before I got into wrestling, I actually enlisted. I'm an Army vet. I did that for 4 years. Spent time overseas. Had some great memories. Everyone's starting wrestling training when some people when they're 15. You have some stars out there in the Midwest who are 15 right now, killing it. Probably gonna sign a deal when they're 18. And right now I'm 26 years old, and I started training when I was 24. So I kind of screwed the gap up a little bit, but I'm glad I got started either way.
Mm-hmm. That's and we've talked with a lot of people, especially recently, that are vets as well. But I thank you for your service. So does that kind of it seems with some people it either fills the gap from leaving the service of kind of the mindset, things to do, or in some case that regimen seems to prepare you. Did it do one or the other for you as you kind of entered into this?
Well, what's one way to think about it? Well, I guess the discipline of getting places early. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I mean, the military, I guess I just met a lot of people and a lot of world experience. Had to learn to become a man really quick. Really didn't have, I obviously worked, but I didn't really have a set career until I was 18, 19 years old. And I really had to learn to grow up really fast. And, being through all that, I was physically challenged throughout most of the time, all the push every morning, 6 a.m., push ups, go on a long run. I haven't ran a day since I left the military service. I mean, it is what it is.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think overall the discipline of all that kind of got me in the mindset of how to prepare for wrestling. Because if I had joined wrestling school with the mindset I had before the military, might not even be here talking to you today.
Hmm.
So,
That's great. So how did you discover your wrestling school?
so for those who don't know, I started at the Absolute Intense Wrestling Academy, trained by Dominic Garrini and of course Derek Direction. Some of you Pittsburgh people love him. He's the greatest of all time in the area. But no,
I've heard that. I've heard that mostly from him. Yeah.
mostly from me too.
Yes.
But but no, I discovered it through through this mutual friend of mine. My sister actually had this now referee who was at AIW. They were friends on Facebook, and I saw him sharing this stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that looks fun." AIW. I'm not really big into indie wrestling. I love me some WWE, and that's it. I didn't know much about the indie wrestling world until I really, discovered AIW, and I saw they had a school going, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this is my window. Maybe it's something to give a shot. I don't want to live my life, not giving it a shot. And that's essentially where people share the stuff at their schools. People are gonna find it eventually, so keep doing that.
Yeah. You never know about that. And it is interesting. So you were like a WWE F fan, I guess, for so many years, and you said
Oh, for
you
sure.
knew you had never even kind of gone into that. You never discovered indie wrestling.
Well, I mean, I knew it existed. I knew of guys like, Brian Danielson before he
Right.
made it big as Daniel Bryan, stuff like that. But I never really appreciated, what happened in the indie world. Like I knew nothing about Chikara, CZW, nothing like that.
Hmm.
Old ROH or hell, even old Mid South. Um, didn't even really know much about AIW until I got into the school.
That's great. What kind of most surprised you when you get in there as you're kind of learning about indie wrestling, or learning about the wrestling business in general?
Well, man, I guess the one thing that really shocked me was, with WWE, they have a set way of doing matches. It's obviously for TV.
Yeah.
Matches are much shorter. They have a different storyline. They wrestle every week, essentially. Sometimes, twice a week. And with indie wrestling, you're kind of making matches. You make them mean a little more. You know what I'm saying? There's some with independent wrestling makes matches mean a little bit more, if that makes sense, because you don't get to do it as much.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess there's just a lot more on the indie scene that's more available. Like, obviously some moves are banned in WWE. A lot of move sets are limited, and that's not a problem. But there's a lot more you get to see, outside of the WWE bubble, and a lot of talent that you would never get to see.
Absolutely. So kind of going through that, Arthur McArthur is a character that a
Hmm.
persona that kind of sticks out on the wrestling show. I've seen you, of course, here at Uprise, of course, up there at
Hmm.
AIW, UXWA, when we're filming a couple of shows for them.
Hmm.
It always seems to stick out. Tell me, how did that kind of develop, and just actually describe it a little bit of what it is for those that maybe haven't checked it out yet.
Okay, so for those who don't know, so Arthur McArthur is essentially it's just there's a lot to unpack, but basically think of a carny 1920 style circus strongman character.
Hmm.
He's been through a lot. Okay, we have a lot of theories of how he came about. I don't really have the official canon for you yet of how he's existing in modern era. I have something in mind, but I'm not sure if I want to release it yet. But long story short, he is a World War I veteran turned circus strongman turned professional wrestler, and has a special dumbbell that only he can pick up right now. That's a relatively new part of the character, and I think it's really added more to it, like a Thor's hammer type deal.
Fantastic.
And so, anyways, the way the character came about, it's kind of funny actually. So I was coming up with all these ideas of what I want to do in wrestling. I used to wrestle in high school, so I had a little bit of a mat background. Wasn't really amazing at it. but I kind of thought maybe I'd do something like that. I was thinking I could be like a Kurt Angle type deal. Well, that was a mistake. um, and then one day I'm just messing around, and here comes our promoter, John Thorne. He walks in. He's like, "That's a circus strongman right there. The way he's walking." Um, and that just kind of planted the seed in everyone's mind. Like, hey, we have a great gimmick for you. We think if you walk around like a circus strongman in all this wacky stuff and act like a character and do all this powerlifting stuff, it might be something. And at first, I'm just taken aback, and I don't know how to react to this. Like, who in their right mind? And I wanted to do like some crazy moves. I wanted to jump off the ropes, do all this stuff, and then it. Sometimes I still have to learn this lesson, but basically it didn't matter. The character stuff really is what got me out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like all the mannerisms, the speeches, the promos, all the moments in matches is what really sets me apart, from what I wanted to be originally. And I really think it's helped me connect with a lot of fans out there.
That's great. So and again, watching like when I see like kind of a super character kind of thing, like I think like a
Mhm.
Magnum CK, that's somebody that had an acting, theater background going into it. Like, did you have that kind of background going into this, or this all kind of
No,
developed on its own?
no, I never did drama club. I was a footballer, played wrestler, did wrestling, did track and field for a season. I was an athlete in high school, essentially.
Because these promos that we see, or even when we do them live, obviously we're doing these live streams for Fight Underground.
Mhm.
They're off the cuff. They're like, I don't know how you keep character
It's
for
it's
some.
hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like so, I won't lie. I've had to the voice. The way I come up with it is just I watched a lot of like you watch that skit from Family Guy with the steak and eggs. And they're like doing the squats and stuff. I kind of mimicked that voice style.
Uh-huh.
And just find the most goofiest, outlandish words. And it takes time. Sometimes I gotta be by myself and just rant about certain things and just let it naturally become a thing.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe watching like old movies and stuff like that. I watched a lot of movies from back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So obviously you talk about it's kind of getting you out there. I've seen you multiple places
Mhm.
that you've been around. I mean, we were talking about before, and like I thought you've been around for a few years at this point. It seems
A
like
lot
it.
of people, it's funny because some people are like, "Oh, how long? So long, new brothers? Like 5, 6 years?" I'm like, I've only been in for like a year, man. Like, oh wow, like yeah, they really think I've been around. It just feels like it's been that long, but
Yeah.
I'm still very young in this business, dude.
Have you any? Obviously, a lot of crazy stuff happened with like things like AAW and or AIW. I did it again.
It happens, man. It happens. I do it too.
That's really bad on the other show. AIW gets a lot of free plugs on the Mayhem show, I tell you. But anyways, but any opportunities, any cool moments over your first year and a half of doing this so far?
So, there actually was a cool moment. At this relatively smaller promotion, a little down south, called
Hmm.
XVW. Me and some of the guys you might know, Zach Thomas, Chuck Stone, Bitcoin Boys. We like to go down there every once in a while. Really get those reps in. Nice group of guys down there, smaller, folk style. And there was an opportunity one time. They were bringing in Tracy Smothers, and obviously right now he's going through a lot. Did my thing go out? No. Okay, we're good.
But
He's
yeah,
going through a
there
lot
you
right now with his cancer treatments and everything. So they were doing this show to kind of benefit him. And I don't know if this is true or not, but that may have been the last match he's had so far. But yeah, they gave us a chance to wrestle with him. So it was me, my partner Chuck Stone, Bulking season with Zach Thomas versus Tracy Smothers and these two local guys from the Franklin area. I
go.
forget Daniel Archer. I forget the other guy's name, but yeah, we got to work them, and that was a great experience. And then you normally with a lot of guys in this business that that will call our matches beforehand, hey, we're gonna do this, this, that. I don't want to expose the business out there like that. But long story short, Tracy Smothers just comes up to me, like, just listen to me out there, and I'll tell you what to do. I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to mess things up, especially with the way things are going.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the back of the corner. He's like, tell him I pulled your hair. I'm like, what? He's like, just go ahead and do it. I'm like, okay. And just funny things like that. Tracy is a great guy. I'm hoping the best for him. He's one of my favorites out there. Really appreciate his promo works as well.
Mm-hmm.
His video of all his promos he did for Cleveland All Pro back in the day are amazing.
He's one of the definitely one of the classics. So readjusting here. Excellent. Oh, so how is I've been having these kind of interviews for the social media for IndyWrestling.us about kind of how COVID has dealt with them. What did it kind of do for you? Obviously, the shows go away. I don't know if anything was big on the horizon for you coming up in March, but like, what was the point where it kind of hit you that like something was different and wrestling was going to change?
Wow. Well, things really did take a toll. So our last EIW show was in February. We had a good show. It was me, Chuck, with PME, in a big 8-man tag, and that was like one of the first big moments we had in a while in AIW. Had a big burger shower. We threw burgers in the crowd after we won. I'm like, all right, finally, we're getting somewhere. We have another show coming up, Gauntlet for Gold, and it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got shut down. I was going to be at this seminar, Evolve tryout, before Evolve ended up getting shut down. WWN. I was going to be part of that. At least that trial portion with Tommaso Ciampa. Really wanted that hands-on experience with him. Worked a lot for this promotion and Grindhouse, and that was a lot of good reps over there. And they've ceased operations altogether right now. They're kind of rebuilding. But yeah, there was like a 3-month window of just doing nothing, and it really bummed me out, man. Like, and for those of you who don't know, Ohio, for the most part, is still shut down as far as wrestling goes. Like, I have wrestled a show in Ohio, but it was very, small, 50 people at most, outdoors. There's like a small capacity you can do. Hope this lighting's okay. I had to charge my phone up. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. AIW is not going to run for a while, it seems. Maybe not until next year. I'm not going to speak on that, but we don't know. But yeah, so I had that 3-month window, and obviously gyms were closed down here. I'm the strongest man in all the land. I need to stay in shape. I need to at least have some sort of strength. This home workout stuff, it wasn't for me. I couldn't do it. I understand you got to do something, but man. So yeah, then out of the blue, here comes Fight Underground, and I'm wondering how they're going to do this, And it turns out, because I had messaged Quinn about it a while ago, and he was like, "Hey, I know you messaged me months ago, but we're trying to do this thing now with Fight Underground. You interested in coming down?" Like, yeah, how's this going to work? We're living in a quarantine pandemic right now. And then that's really where it struck me with things were different, because no fans whatsoever. I've wrestled in front of like a small crowd of under 10, but wrestling in front of no fans, okay, well, they were wrestlers around the ring, but those aren't, that was, people are cheering just to get that thing going. These aren't natural emotional reactions from the fans.
Mm-hmm.
So that's you just had to learn how to work without the crowd getting behind you.
And that was a great match with Flex Simmons of the ROH Dojo, of course. So it was a great, and that was, I think, the second one that we had for Fight Underground that went out there to the crowd. So it was early on in that development, at least in showing it to the people. So
right.
Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say during that match, I realized I have to like do some more cardio, because after that 4 minutes, I'm like, I was not ready for this. Without being in the ring for training or nothing like that, I really hadn't really done my rolls or hit the ropes and nothing like that. I really had to get back in there. And thank God we finally opened the school back up to get training again. And we got all these events happening again, thankfully.
Yeah, I have to say it looks like Indiana is the savior of Midwest professional wrestling right now.
That and the state of Michigan.
Yes, I know there's still a little bit happening up there. I know we have West Virginia happening a little bit here and there. I don't know. It's hit and miss. You know, I've had shows canceled I was supposed to be part of, and it's just it's weird. It's weird. And of course, here in Pennsylvania, it's not every company can run kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting. But at least there's a lot of opportunities happening out there. Of course, I see AIW's getting out in Indiana and having shows again. So that's awesome to see.
For sure.
I like to close on a fun little question. You've only got a year and a half into this, and of course, half of that has been a pandemic, unfortunately.
It is what it is.
What's the best and worst thing about indie wrestling for you?
Oh, wow. Well, I guess we'll start with the bad and end on a high note, huh? The worst thing about indie wrestling for me is the traveling, man. The driving. I think I will say if I can go to all my shows within a 2-hour radius, that would be amazing. But reality is if you want to, get out there and make a name for yourself and really get the experience, you got to hit the roads and you've got to travel. As much as it sucks, it's one of the I hate driving. I hate going. I think the most I've ever gone so far is about 8.5. And that was for Chattanooga, Tennessee. And oh my God, that is a rough drive. Thankfully, we got people in the car that could switch out every few hours. But they're the ones who make it the best. On a high note, the best thing about indie wrestling is, I guess, it's just living out my dreams, man. Really going out there and doing what I love the most.
Awesome. Well, Arthur, where can people find you online, and where can they find you promotion-wise?
Okay, well, if you want to find me online on social media, I have a Facebook page. Trying to add my real name. So please like the Arthur McArthur page. It's just Arthur McArthur. You might find other Arthur McArthurs. I'm not the only one out there in existence, but I'm sure maybe you'll recognize my face. I'm the guy flexing or with the glasses. Or you go on Twitter, and I'm Strong McArthur. Arthur McArthur's handle was taken. You'd think I'd have that, but no. Yeah, Strong McArthur. Instagram, I believe that's Arthur 2_ McArthur, or is it Strong? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, there's that. As far as promotions go, obviously, home base is Absolute Intense Wrestling. When that's up and running, you'll see me there. A lot of Ohio promotions. As of right now, you'll find me mostly in Horror Slam in Michigan. Currently tag team champion over there with Chuck Stone. Indiana, you'll be seeing me a lot in EWE, Epic Wrestling Entertainment. And, of course, for the Pittsburgh folks here, you'll be seeing me on Fight Underground. And that's about it for right now, man.
Awesome.
You'll be seeing me out there more, though, for sure.
Awesome, for sure. And you can see, of course, the Fight Underground matches on this Fight Underground social media. You'll be part of the upcoming tapings as well. I don't think we have an opponent announced for you just yet. Oh, no, you're part of the tournament, aren't you?
I am. The day one with the Rev.
The Rev Ron Hunt to determine who is the best out of Area 1. Looking at that a bit. We're having a million tournament to roll that out. To settle that, you can look for that in the upcoming weeks over on that social media, of course. Thank you, Arthur, for joining us. It's always been a blast. Man, every time this guy's on one of the things, like half the people on the panel are just like, shit, this guy's great.
Right, man. That's what I like to hear. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for working with me. For sure.
No, I appreciate it. Always fun when I see you're on the run sheet. Guys, go check him out. Again, you can check him out there. You can check him out on several different things. Just search for him over at IndyWrestling.us. You can see him on all those platforms as well. And, of course, check out our friends at AIW and Horror Slam and all those things as well. Until next time, please support indie wrestling.
You know how I act now. If you got a problem, come and see if I'm a back down. Act wild. Steady sipping Jack now.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.